Welcome to the Sack Race Reacts. We are here with Preston fan Jack Goodwin. Jack, how are you, mate?
Recovering after the news yesterday, but I'll be fine.
We are talking Preston, of course. Alex Neil has left after nearly 4 years, one of the longest-serving Championship managers. Reports surfaced, I think, on Saturday, and it was confirmed on Sunday. What was your reaction?
A bit gutted, to be honest, because I've backed him to the hills. I think he's a good manager. I think he's a really talented manager that has done good things for North End. Yes, maybe we've never got in the top six, but we've got close. And it might sound unambitious, but for a club that doesn't spend as much money as us, I mean, I don't think we've broken our transfer record since 2004. Consistently challenging for the playoffs and being in that mix is decent for a club like North End. And I think it's a real shame because it's been a dodgy year. 2021, I think, would be in the bottom three if the season started at the turn of the year. But I think there's contributing factors. I mean, selling Ben Davis, selling Ben Pearson, Darnell Fisher for peanuts. Any manager's going to struggle. I mean, they were arguably his three best players. Definitely Davis and Pearson were his two best players. And then you replaced them with 8 coming in. 7 of them were originally loanees. Obviously, Evans and Cunningham were made permanent. But I just think it's all a bit bizarre because I think we're panicking because 16th isn't awful. I don't think you'd say that's a relegation scrap sort of place. You'd say it's just lower mid-table. You know, it's not awful. You're a couple wins off being in the top half. But I think it's the performances that have probably led to it. We were pretty dreadful on Saturday at Deepdale. Then obviously we lost against Middlesbrough midweek. We lost against Wickham. So it's 3 losses in a row where we haven't scored and we haven't looked like scoring. So I think it's more the performances than anything. And I think his comments after it seemed all a bit bizarre when he was saying he doesn't know his best 11 and how he was going to go crawl under his bed and stuff. It seemed like he was a bit fed up, to be honest. And I think it's the loss on Saturday is probably the camel that what's the saying? Something that broke the camel's back.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, so Frankie McAvoy has been placed in interim charge, believe until the end of the season. I think there's only about 8 games left. Is this to you very much just a short-term thing through to the end of the season, or could he bolster his own chances of getting the top job?
Well, I think anyone who steps in as number one has got a good chance at putting their CV forward. And, if he wins 8 games out of 8, I don't think anyone can begrudge him the chance to manage the club. But I think it's a shock because Frankie's gone with him from Hamilton to Norwich to Preston. So many expected that it would be Neil and McAvoy to leave and then it would be given to Thompson and Gallagher to take over. There's some reports actually coming out that Frankie is refused to take the job because if you read the statement, it said it is with our intention that Frankie McAvoy will be the interim head coach until the end of the season. So it's however you read it, but it'd all be a bit bizarre because why would you release a club statement saying that and then you've not even asked him whether he wants to take the job? But I've had a couple talks with Frankie McAvoy in the past, and he's a proper good bloke, a proper footballing bloke. So yeah, I feel like it's a good opportunity for him to put himself forward, but. If he wins 2 out of 8 and gets the job, I think there'll be outrage that we've gone with the cheap option.
So there's been a few familiar names, some former players that are topping the betting at the time of recording. We'll start with the favourite, Gareth Ainsworth, obviously the long-serving Wickham boss, been there for about 8 years, I believe. Done a fantastic job. Would you like to see him come in the summer?
Well, he loves Preston and he's a legend at Preston. I remember when we played at Deepdale this year and he sat by he was there at 1:30 before any players came out, 1:30 p.m. Sat just by the stands and he was just looking around. And when he was interviewed about it after, he was like, I was just wanting to take it all in. This was the stadium that gave me all my best footballing memories and all that. And my dad actually was reading his old North End's book, which it speaks of a couple of North End legends. And as soon as he read that, he went, I want Gareth Ainsworth to be our next manager, because of the way he spoke about the club. So it will definitely bring that passion and that determination, and he must be a good manager to do what he's done with Wycombe. I mean, it's been a sensational job to get them from the lower ebbs of League Two to the Championship. But I don't think I could watch his style of play. People complain about how Alex Neil played. I think you take it to another level with Gareth Ainsworth. I mean, last year, I know they got promoted, but they were 24th for the amount of possession and 24th for the amount of the passing accuracy. So does he play that way just because he's in charge of Wycombe? But is he going to completely change his style of play when he goes to a club that maybe are wanting a bit more? I don't know, but it's an option to be considered. But I personally could not. I could watch his style of play because I'm an North End fan, but I wouldn't want to.
Michael Appleton, I'm sure, would be a popular pick. I believe it was your club record signing back in the 90s, 500,000, I think. He's at Lincoln. They're fighting for promotion at the moment to the Championship. If he were to get that promotion to the Championship, he could have a decision on his hands if Preston were to come in. For you personally, would you like to see Appleton back at Deep Down?
I think it would be a good appointment. He did brilliant stuff with Oxford United, taking them from League Two. I think he won the Papa John's Trophy or whatever it was called back then. And then he obviously did a good job in League One, and he built a really good team there. He's good at developing youngsters and buying certain players. He's trusted by some of the bigger clubs to loan some youngsters. Obviously, at the moment with Lincoln, he's got Morgan Rogers, who's doing outstanding things with Lincoln. He's only 18 from Manchester City. So I think it's definitely an option. Plays good football. But my only worry is that obviously he's just signed I think it's 4 or 5 year contract with Lincoln. So it'd be a lot of money to buy him out, and I'm not sure whether we would be prepared to do that. And also, I think I've seen reports that Sheffield United and West Brom will be sniffing around him once they're relegated. So I don't know. I think he's the cool appointment at the moment, to be honest with you. So I could see someone of Sheffield United or West Brom stature coming in for him.
Great to see what he's done. He had a tricky start to his managerial career, didn't he? A few short-term appointments, some dodgy owners. But it's great to see him bounce back. He took a few different roles in the assistant roles. But absolutely flying with Lincoln. It'll be interesting to see what road he goes down in the summer. But as you said, he's signed a massive contract, so it will cost whoever comes in for him. Another former player, another captain, I think, Callum Davidson, doing a brilliant job at St Johnstone, won the League Cup, and he's got them into a top 6 finish this year. It's his first year in management, but he's been coaching for a while. Would you like to see him in?
Again, this is one of the ones that I think would be towards the top of my list. It's a huge risk considering he's only had 1 year as a number one, but he's done really good things with St Johnstone. I've got a friend who's a St Johnstone fan, and he speaks very highly of him. It was always going to be a difficult job for them, for Callum to step in after Tommy Wright left, because he had been there and done quite well for a while. So to win the Scottish League Cup, which I've got told off for a couple of times because I called it the Scottish Cup, but apparently it's the Scottish League Cup. I didn't know they had 2 cups, but he won the Scottish League Cup, which is still a big achievement for someone like St Johnstone. And they finished in the top half this season, so they're going to the top half end of the season, whatever they do over there. But I think he's done a good job, and he knows this league from playing with Preston North End, captain North End, and also he's assistant manager with Gary Rowett at Millwall and Stoke. So he's certainly one to be considered. I think I would like Callum Davidson at North End.
Yeah, it's a decent shout. I'm going to reel off some out-of-work managers for you here and just let me know what you think. We've got Neil Harris, who's being linked with pretty much every job at the moment. Daniel Stendhal, recently linked with Portsmouth. Eddie Howe, linked with everyone. Derek McInnes, who left Aberdeen. Frank Lampard, and of course, Chris Wilder. Any of them?
Well, I'd love Frank Lampard, Chris Wilder, or Eddie Howe, but there's no chance they're coming to Preston North End, so we can rule them out straight away. Daniel Stendhal did well with Barnsley, not Bournemouth. Barnsley in his in League One, but it didn't really work out for him at Hearts, I think it was. So No, I don't think I'd go for Stendhal. Neil Harris, decent manager, got Cardiff to playoffs last year, but probably deserved to be sacked this year with them 14th in the league. I don't see it as an improvement on Alex Neil. And who was the other one you mentioned?
Eddie Howe, Derek McInnes.
Derek McInnes, that was it. Eddie Howe, no. Well, I would have him, but he's never going to come to North End. And Derek McInnes is the interesting one because, again, like you said with Ainsworth, he's been at Aberdeen for so long. So it's hard to judge what he's going to be like at a different side. I mean, you can look at his tenure with Bristol City, but he struggled there. But that was 10 years ago. And like we said with Appleton, there's mitigating circumstances. So, yeah, I think McInnes could be a decent option. I mean, people have talked about McInnes going North End and Alex Neil going Aberdeen. So it's certainly an option. But again, I think if I had to pick one to be top of my list, it would be Callum Davidson at the moment.
So Davidson is around the 12-1 mark. You can find that on the 14-1, sorry, on the sackbase.com. Ainsworth, 5-1 favourite. McAvoy, 8-1. And McInnes, who we just spoke about, is 12-1. As for maybe sort of a bright young spark, if you will, would you take Michael Duff? I know he's a bit of a Burnley legend, so would that put you off him? Or maybe someone like Ryan Lowe at Plymouth?
Well, I think this is the line that we're going to go down. We're going to go down a young manager because we've always had managers. So it's interesting that Frankie McAvoy has been placed as the interim head coach of sorts. So we've changed our recruitment stuff behind the scenes. So I believe we're going to go with perhaps someone a bit younger. Michael Duff, I really like the work he's doing at Cheltenham. I think he's definitely probably the manager of the season in that league. He's doing some outstanding work there, considering Gary Johnson was struggling there before him. So I think it's a good option. I don't really care that he played a lot for Burnley. I don't think that should really put you off. I mean, we had Simon Grayson, who was a great manager for us, and he did very well at Blackpool too. But I think with Duff, Lowe, Artell, people like that, they're all a big risk because they're all quite young in the managerial careers. But if I had to pick any of those three, I wouldn't go for Ryan Lowe because with Plymouth in League Two last year, he had a relatively big budget and a good squad there, and he got them promoted. So and played good football. I think with Bury, even though there was tough circumstances, they had a good side there when he got promoted too. So it's interesting to see what he does with perhaps Plymouth next year, because this year was a bit of a stabilising season with a lower budget. Because we've got to look at managers like David Artell, who have done outstanding things on a pretty much shoestring budget and got promoted and pushed on, because that's realistically what North End are going to have to do. We're not going to be the Watfords in the league who are going to splash the cash.
There's also one name to finish up on. I forgot to mention Grant McCann. He's been around on social media a bit over the last 24 hours. I've seen a few people mention his name, doing a great job with Hull. But he's another one who's in League One at the moment and could get a promotion. Would you take him?
No.
No. And finally, Alex Neil. It's good to see that. I know it didn't work out, but fans are still like a positive things to say to him. And it's not been like a sort of a bad parting of ways, has it? I think the fans like him as a person and do like what he tried to do at Preston. It didn't quite work out, but do you think we could see him? He's gone into the second favourite for Aberdeen, and he's also like about 14-1 to Celtic. Do you think we could see him return back to Scotland?
Aberdeen's a good option. I could definitely see him going there. I thought Celtic would have been a good option if North End were pushing the top six this year, but I think they'll probably go for a bigger name, someone like Howell Wilder. I think Alex Neil's next job will probably, I think he needs a break, because first of all, he played football, then went straight into being the player coach at Hamilton, then became player manager, then came the Norwich manager, and then had 6 weeks out and became our manager. So he's 39 years old and not had a break out of football other than a 6-week sabbatical for however long. So I'd like to see him in the Championship, and I fully believe if he takes over a Championship club, we will back him and support him when he needs to be. I think he will do good things there. I think he's a very good manager.
I think we mentioned off camera, potentially West Brom's one to look out for in case Sam Allardyce leaves. He's got a relegation release clause. Was linked with them before, so keep an eye on that one in the summer. Finally, where will Preston finish this season?
God, no idea. Hopefully above the relegation zone. That's all that matters at the moment.